And welcome to Inside JEFCOED, the show that takes you inside Jefferson County schools, the people, the places, and all the insides, the goings, comings, that type of thing. This is our second episode of this podcast. We're so glad you joined us. I'm John Uddleston, and we are joined today by a very special guest, Mr. Henry Irby of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. How are you, sir? Nice to see you.
I am great, and thank you so much for having me.
You are new to the role of Public Information Officer at the Sheriff's Office, but not necessarily new to that role, and you're certainly not new to law enforcement, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your background, just so folks kind of know who you are and where you come from and your years of experience, I guess, in law enforcement,
Sure.
really.
Well, I have about 34 years of experience in law enforcement. I started with the Birmingham Police Department. At that time, I was also a public information officer as a lieutenant. Knowing your wife and
Yes.
you as well.
Yes.
And then I retired in 2018 as the deputy chief in charge of investigations and the interim chief. Stayed retired for about 4 years and then went to the Brookside Police Department and took over that agency. And now I'm with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
You still had, after all those years, still had the itch for getting back into it, I guess, right?
I'm so glad to be back,
Yeah.
yes.
So, well, we're certainly glad to have you here. One reason we wanted to have you on today is because folks watching at home probably know this, but just in case you don't, the Sheriff's Office very much is our partners here at Jefferson County Schools. The reason we say that is they provide all our school resource officers from the Sheriff's Office for our schools. We have a uniformed deputy available at every school. All that being said, I wanted to kind of talk through the role of SROs, because I don't know if everybody really understands that. They hear SRO, school resource officer, but they don't necessarily know the ins and outs, the daily grind, I guess, they go through. Tell us a little bit about the SRO program and really what their role is in schools.
So the SRO officers are special people. We hand select them. They have to go through special training through NASRO. They're teachers in terms of they lecture, they're mentors, and they're also law enforcement officers. But not everybody can do that. And so when they go through training, they learn a lot about students, kids. They learn that the mind of a child is not fully developed, and they have to know how to respond to that. And so there are so many different other things, so de-escalation, and things like that. I think you have some other questions for me later, and we'll talk about training specifically.
Yeah, well, I do want to, let's go ahead and talk about that now,
Okay.
because they do go through specialized training. They go through the regular law enforcement, they go through the police academy, that type of thing. But they also, there's a separate course that school resource officers have to go through. I think it's like 40-something hours. Or
40 hours, right.
Yeah, they have to go through to learn specifically how to work in a school and how to deal with students and the administration and that type of thing.
That's correct. And it's so important, too, because they have to earn the trust of the students within the school. They have to bond with them. And that's a good thing. It's almost like a different segment of the population, because you want students to feel comfortable in coming to law enforcement officers, SROs, to give information.
Yeah, and one of the big things that you guys do, and I think maybe NASRO, National Association of School Resource Officers, they define it really as, I believe, make sure I get this right here, the triad concept. Really three main roles for school resource officers: educator, informal counselor, mentor, and then also law enforcement officer.
That's correct.
It's so important, too. That's really a balancing act for your guys, too, to be able to maintain all three of those things.
It really is, and that's why I said earlier, it takes a special person to be able to go into a school as a resource officer and do those things.
You mentioned de-escalation. One thing that they're there for is prevention, too, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
They don't want to see a problem. They want to stop it before there is a problem. And you can't count how many times in the 4 years I've been at Jefferson County Schools, I've heard about a situation that they have stopped before it became a situation on there. That's a big part of their job.
I mean, it really is. But what a lot of people do not understand is we're not there to enforce school rules per se. You know, school resource officers are there to protect students, to give them a safe space, and also the teachers and the administration.
We talk about prevention. One thing I wanted to touch on, really prevention, it's a concept that involves everybody. And a lot of times it really does start at home. You guys, schools, can only do so much in terms of prevention. We need our parents to partner with us, correct?
This is true. This is true. And so I believe that the prevention actually starts at home because no one knows your child better than you. And so you have to establish some guidelines for your kids at home and what the expectations are for them at school as well. Parents should be a part of their child's lives. Also in the school, they should communicate with their teachers on a regular basis to see how they're doing academically and also socially.
Parents today, kids today have a lot more to deal with than when I was growing up, when you were growing up. I mean, the big thing that comes to mind is the cell phone and social media and everything.
Yes.
Any tips for parents in terms of policing that at home? What should they be doing in terms of being vigilant in that?
Well, kids should know that there is no expectation of privacy.
That's right.
Within their room, within their cell phones, or social media. Parents should frequently look at those things to see that their kids are safe and to warn law enforcement or the school if they see anything that's concerning.
The catchphrase as it's become, and I don't mean for it to sound cliche, but see something, say something. It's something that's really developed after 9/11. Talk about the importance of that and really what those 4 words mean in unison.
It really goes both ways with the kids and also their parents. If they come across some critical information, whether it be real or perceived, they should let law enforcement and also the school know, because the primary goal is to keep everyone safe.
Absolutely. And 2, I feel like a lot of times people might think, oh, well, that's not that serious. And we'll get into talking about threats in a second, but just generally speaking, best practice is, I'm assuming, if you at all are questioning something, go ahead and tell an administrator, go ahead and tell your SRO and let them sort it out, correct?
Absolutely. It's better safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to kind of get into, because we certainly, unfortunately, and this is not unique to Jefferson County schools, I'll say that to start off with, but schools across the country have dealt with increasingly over the last couple of years especially, various threats made against a particular student or maybe made against the school in general. We typically hear in Jefferson County schools when that happens, most of the times we're always consulting with our partners at the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, but we do try to be very transparent in letting folks know about that and letting our parents know about that, because obviously parents have a right to know when it comes to their kids' safety at school. All that being said, this is not a kid that might make a threat, a student that might make a threat, or even somebody on the outside might think of it as a joke, but it is not a joke. It is very serious business.
It is very serious business, because you're there to learn, you're there to feel safe, and so when threats are made, other students are nervous, teachers are nervous, administrators are nervous, and it also makes law enforcement nervous as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not a good situation for anybody.
It is not.
And it's sad, because I don't know sometimes if a student doing that maybe realizes the consequences, but there are very real consequences if you do that. I mean, you're looking at criminal charges, right, if that happens.
It can. It depends on the severity of it, but it can add up to a Class C felony, which is not good. And the last thing we want for children to do is to be placed in jail. Yeah. It's not a good thing. You're supposed to be there to learn, have fun, and enjoy your youth.
One thing that I was surprised about is that while it's not a joke, and you might think it is because you're putting it on Snapchat or wherever, there's always that digital footprint out there. And I can't think of an instance in the 4.5 years I've been here, I know, that our school resource officers, our sergeants based here in central office, and you guys as well down there, just at the sheriff's office, your general law enforcement officers, you always catch the individual doing this. I think they pretty much have a 100% success rate in that.
They have an excellent record. Yeah. I was very surprised when I first got here, but because of our technology, the expertise that our unit has, we usually get the bad guys. Yeah. Usually.
Yeah, usually. I mean, just, warning right there. I mean, if you're going to do this, there is a footprint out there. Even if you think you delete it from your phone, you delete it from your social media,
sure,
there are different ways, and we're not going to go into all the different ways, but there are different ways that you guys can go through
absolutely
and track this stuff down.
Sure, sure.
If you guys, don't necessarily, let's say, and we've had this situation before where somebody makes a threat maybe in the overnight hours or after school hours and everything, and you're looking for somebody, you think you might have a pretty good idea, but maybe it's not 100%. You don't know who the person is exactly. What are the different steps that law enforcement will take and school resource officers take in making sure our campuses are secure for that next school day? Because a lot of times we hear parents, I don't want to send my kid to school.
Right.
Well, you're almost at that point, you're kind of playing into what the person wants sometimes when you do that.
Sure. What
reassurance can you give to parents that we do take these things seriously? We do take extra measures when that happens.
Right. So, yes, we do take all threats seriously. And so it depends on the credibility of the threat, after we analyze it, assess it, and things of that nature. So it just depends. If it's a bomb threat and we believe it's credible, we'll bring in the bomb dogs and let them try to sniff out anything that may be there. We'll have to evacuate and things of that nature. And that goes back to resources and things like that. If it's not that serious, then we'll bring in all of the SROs from surrounding schools, and we'll do a search as well. But our primary thing is that we want all kids, teachers, and administrators safe.
Absolutely. And threats can be dangerous, not necessarily in the sense of what violence they might pose, but also from the standpoint, especially those non-credible threats, you're tying up resources during that time and pulling it away from other situations. It very much could be a real emergency.
Absolutely. And that's not good at all, especially for those who need those resources and then they're not available.
Absolutely. In our closing minutes here, I did want to kind of talk a little bit about it just is a fact of the world that we live in now that unfortunately school violence does happen. That is something that your officers train for, and it's something, I'll preface this by saying it's something you hope you never have to use.
Absolutely.
But talk a little bit about that, and I know we're not going to get into the specific details, nor would I ever ask you to, because there are some things that we just simply can't talk about. But in generality, talk a little bit about the training, and that's something, it's an ongoing process, I would assume.
Sure. It is. So I spoke about de-escalation earlier. That's part of it too, within the school itself and the kids. But if there's another threat where an adult or a young person comes in with a weapon, we're trained for that. It's called active shooter training. And so we train yearly. The SROs go through it, and we partner with others so that we know what to do. I think the kids also have to go through some type of active shooter training too, so that when we come together, everyone knows what to do.
Yeah, and I want to touch on something you said just there too. You train with others too. By others and other partners, you mean the different law enforcement agencies, I would assume.
Law enforcement agencies, and in some cases with Birmingham, we did it with schools as well.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, in our situation specifically, we have 22 different municipalities. Now, not all of them have a police force, but where they do, I assume y'all involve them as well, because sometimes, quite frankly, they might be the closest first responders in that situation.
Absolutely. But we also have mutual aid. And so if someone needs us from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, we'll respond.
In our closing minutes here, what else would you like to add? Is there anything else you would like to add in terms of what folks need to know about school resource officers, or anything in general about law enforcement that you think would be particularly beneficial to our parents or our students, I guess?
I spoke to a former school resource officer this morning, and he told me that the most important letter in SRO is R for resource, because people should look at school resource officers as a source of resources, for whatever the reason may be. I think the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has some of the most well-trained and professional school resource officers around. It's not a hard job, it's a rewarding job. They love it. Those who I have spoken to, they love the kids, they love the administration, they love the teachers. So just know that your kids are being loved on, taken care of, and protected.
We'll leave it right there. Thank you so much for coming in today and for talking with us about this very important topic. And especially thank you for your partnership. I certainly appreciate it, because we both kind of have the same roles. You being public information officer for the sheriff's office, and me being over communications for the school district. I certainly appreciate your partnership and all that you do. So thank you so much, Henry, for coming in today.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. This is Inside JEFCOED. Of course, you can watch it on JEFCOED TV, which, by the way, is available on Roku, Amazon Fire, as well as Apple TV, streaming right there. You can catch all our past episodes. And also, if you don't have maybe one of those devices, you can, of course, I'll say the old-fashioned way, but go log on to your computer at home. Go to jeffcoed.com/TV. For Henry Irby, I'm John Huddleston. Thanks for watching Inside JEFCOED.